it gives you that moment to stop, pause, and think. And it almost disrupts the cycle of what we were taught. So that kind of leads into my next question is how much of our financial knowledge, before a greater awakening is emotional?
I mean, I guess I would argue almost all of it.
All of it.
And the reason I would say all of it or near all of it is because money is one of the most emotional things in our lives. And I think I fall victim all the time to being like, well, it's just math. I mean, come on, just look at the numbers. It just makes sense. Like, look at the compound interest chart. Don't buy the new car. Do this instead. It's just math. But realistically, if you think back on your first memories around money.
We're back on Never Settle, part two of this three-part series. Katie Gatti, she is a personal financial blogger. The first episode, we talked on what's going on, what can use some improvement. We'll
Mhm.
move away from the word wrong, maybe, but go into what can use some improvement. And today's episode, sharing more on what we can gain from getting our personal finances in order around mindset and emotion. Katie and Sam the
Yep.
cat, welcome back.
Thank you. Sam, are you happy to be here? Yeah, he's
Sam
happy
is
to be here too.
regular.
He's a regular.
So we talked on the first episode, what's really going on in the financial world, what is taking away from, personal empowerment is what it comes down to. Is the lack of
Mhm.
ability of personal empowerment in taking charge in our own finances. So what's a lot of that fueled from, and why should we bother?
Mm. When you say what is it fueled from, do you mean that lack of autonomy and empowerment in personal finance for many
It
people?
certainly, yes, it certainly can be. Yes, that education and, along those lines.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think this one's layered, and I think it certainly does come down to a lot of the things that we touched on in part one. So if you haven't listened to part one yet, make sure you do that. But the jargon and the terminology, and what are we calling it? The convenient confusion. I like that. The intentional
Yeah.
convenient confusion of the industry. I also think there's a fundamental misunderstanding of the amount of information that you actually have to know in order to build wealth. Like I think with a lot of things in life, but in personal finance, being no different, I think we tend to bring this all or nothing mindset. It's that all or nothing mindset. And I think that it can be very damaging in the personal finance world because we have this preconceived notion, or many of us have this narrative about ourselves. I know I did before I started learning about it, that, well, I wasn't a business major, well, I didn't study finance, well, they didn't teach me this in school, well, I studied communications, or there was this idea that, like, I don't know enough for it to matter, and the gap between what I know now and what I need to know for it to matter is so wide that I'm not even going to bother, when in reality you really don't have to know much at all to invest successfully and to start building wealth successfully. And that's kind of the grand irony of all of this. I always kind of bring it back to the core tenets of positive personal finance, which is focus on earning more, spending less, and investing the difference. That's really what it comes down to. When you take away all the fluff and all the terminology, and sure, you can optimize each piece of that to the nth degree, but really those are the fundamentals. That's your foundation. You can literally go to a robo advisor right now, open a Roth IRA, or open just a general taxable investing account, put in $1,000, answer a few questions about the type of returns you expect and when you would like that money, and an algorithm will do the rest for you. I think they overestimate how difficult it's going to be to get started and to create a successful outcome for themselves. And I think that overestimation of the effort required, and maybe underestimation of how fun it can be, because I think it's fun and exciting, but the combo of those things kind of keeps them out of the game. They don't even play because they think there's no way they can win.
I think it's sexy to be able to manage your
Me
finances.
too.
It's like to be able to manage it's boss level. Take the gender part out of it. It's just boss level of I got this in order. And
Mhm.
it is not taught in school intentionally. All of this is
Mhm.
left off the table, when it comes to health, when it comes to finances. And it's just you're given the history book, which is great for looking back, but what about looking forward as we're talking about? And that's a great way to break it down of to make more, focus on
Mhm.
making more, spending less,
Mhm.
and to invest the rest. And I just wanted to
Mhm.
reiterate that because it's a powerful mantra. It rhymes as well, whether you meant to do that or not, it does. So it catches you, and it's like right before you're about to buy
Mhm.
some dumb thing online,
Mhm.
it gives you that moment to stop, pause, and think. And